Alright, so I've just prepared a tea because it will be a long video about Sales Navigator. To be transparent with you, I've been working on this tutorial for like 3 weeks now, and I'm doing this for 4 reasons. So reason number 1 is that Sales Navigator is by far the cheapest and more powerful tool to build qualified lead lists. So I've tried Apollo, ZoomInfo, Cognism, and recently I tried Clay. At the beginning, I'm always hyped when I try a new tool, but after like a few days, I realized that they are expensive, very complex, and sometimes the quality of the data is not that good compared to Sales Navigator. The second point is that in 90% of the cases, you have the best data with Sales Navigator. You probably know that almost all B2B data providers use Sales Navigator to enrich their database. So basically, they just scrape Sales Navigator, store the data in a database, and sell the data. The big problem with that is most of the time, the data is not up to date. For example, if you sell the data of someone you get like 2 months ago, while you may have like 20 or 30% chance that this person changes his job, his company, or his location. LinkedIn has some drawbacks, but at least they have the freshest data on the market. The point number 3 is a lot of people struggle a lot with Sales Navigator. So basically, why we use tools such as Sales Navigator is because we have an idea of what we want. For example, we want like Chief Marketing Officer, CMO. And from what we have in our mind, we want a clean list of files with CMOs. And we want only CMOs. But the main problem with Sales Navigator is that it's hard to convert what we have in our mind to a clean leads file at the end. And most of the time, the problem is Sales Navigator. So if you see a big difference from what you have in your mind compared to the list that you have at the end, then you can think like Sales Navigator is not for you and you try different tools. So the problem is that you have a gap between what you have in your mind and what you get at the end. The reason number 4 is that I've been working on Give Me Leads for more than a year now. So Give Me Leads is basically a tech that we originally built for us because we had an outbound agency, and for each client we have to build the best qualified leads possible. So the goal of this tool is to make it as easy as possible to convert what you have in your mind into the best leads list that match exactly what you want. So I always like to say that with Give Me Leads, we are the bridge between what you have in your mind and your leads file. So in this video, I will cover everything you know to build qualified lead list from Sales Navigator. So we will see how to use leads filters, how to create leads lists, some advanced techniques, intent data, how to identify decision makers, and at the end we will see how to export leads from Sales Navigator with verified emails. So I make you the promise that at the end of this video you will be able to convert what you have in your mind, like your target, into a Sales Navigator search, and at the end get the perfect leads file that you can use so that you can start to reach out to your potential customers. So as you can see, we have a lot to cover, so let's get started. When you are on LinkedIn, you can access Sales Navigator with the button here, Sales Nav. If you don't have this button here, it means that you don't have a Sales Navigator account. If you don't have it right now, it's not a problem because you have 1 month of free trial. So you can subscribe to the free trial and then you will get this button. So if I click on this button, I will be on the home page of Sales Navigator. Here you can click on Accounts. So here we have all the companies that we want to target. We have leads. So here you will find the people you want to reach out to. And here you have the messaging. Just to let you know, the Sales Navigator inbox is different from the LinkedIn inbox. I personally don't recommend you to use the Sales Navigator inbox to send messages because if you cancel your Sales Navigator subscription, you won't be able to get access to the message. So that's why most of the time you don't send messages with the Sales Navigator inbox. So before we start, I want to answer a question that I have sometimes. And this question is, which Sales Navigator plan should I use? To answer this question, I want to show you this page. So for Sales Navigator, you have 3 plans: Core, Advanced, and Advanced Plus. I will not get into the details of each plan because in 99% of the case, you only need the Core version. And the price is $99 per month, and you have a 20% discount where you take the annual billing. So I know that when you are a small company, it looks a bit expensive, but I want to show you that with Sales Navigator, you can get a lot of leads for a very small price, and I will show you some numbers. So with Sales Navigator, you can export up to 2,500 leads per day. So that's the limit. So if you export 2.5k leads a day, at the end of the month, you have 75,000 leads that you can reach out to. So I think that for $99, it's worth it. And when you compare Sales Navigator to the other tools, it's like a no-brainer. So now let's go back to Sales Navigator and start with the leads search. So I click here and now we are on this page. So here on the left of the screen, you have all the filters, and on the right side of your screen, you will have all the leads that match your filters. And I say match like that in quotes because you will see later in this video that Sales Navigator can surprise you. But don't worry, I will show you how to deal with that later in the video. So let's start with a basic search. So let's say that I want head of sales like this in, let's say New York, and a company headcount between, let's say 5,000 to 10,000 people. And what's interesting here, you have the number of people that match your filters. So in this case, we have 86 people that are head of sales in New York with a company headcount between 5,000 to 10,000 people. Now, what I can do is to save my search to get notified when I have a new results. So here it means that when you have someone new that match your criteria, you will be notified that this person is new on your search. And of course, you can send a message to them. So I'm gonna click on save my search. And here we have all the saved searches. And as I told you, Sales Navigator will send you a weekly emails about your results for each search. So when you have someone new, you will get it and you can add these new leads into your favorite outreach tool. So if I want, I can rename my search. Let's say test for tutorial, save. And then I have my new name here. So as you can see here, I've already made a search for CMO in New York for a company headcount between 200 people to 500 people. And if I want to get this search, I just have to click on view here. And as you can see, I have all the filters that I made before, like company headcount, current job title, and geography. For this search, I have 126 results. If you want to get access to your served searches, you just have to click here and you can select test for tutorial, for example. And as you can see, I have my filters, head of sales in New York, and so on. Now that you know how to save your search, you have to know how to save your leads into a list. And I'm going to show you how to do it right now. So for example, let's say that I want to save these 86 results. All I have to do is to click on each lead and then I click on save to list. For this tutorial, I will create a new list that we will name test tutorial tutorial. If you want, you can add a description so that you can easily remember what you put in your list. So here I'm gonna say Sales Navigator tutorial, but you can say like head of sales 5,000 to 10,000 people in New York. Of course, that's just an example. And here, all I have to do is to click on create and save. Here. And now if I click on save to list, I have my new list test tutorial with 3 leads. And these 3 leads are these leads. So Kartik, Mike, and Dan. If I want to add more people in my leads list, all I have to do is to click on each lead. So you can select manually, or what you can do to speed up the process is to click here. And we will select 25 results because on Sales Navigator, you have 25 leads for each page. So here we have 86 results. So we have 4 pages. So unfortunately on Sales Navigator, you can't select every single lead. And what you have to do is to go on each page and click select all and save to list. And I click on test tutorial, and now I have 28 results because I forgot to click on the previous one. So here, select all, save to list, test tutorial, and now Sales Navigator added me every single lead on the first page. So here you can see that Kartik is in one list, and of course you have the details on which list is the lead. So in my case, Kartik is only on test tutorial. All right, so now you know how to save your leads in a list. Let's check how to manage your list. So for that, you have to click on leads here. On this screen, you have your lead list. And you can see here that we have our list that we previously made. So we have test tutorial. So quick tips, when you put your cursor on the name of your list, you will see the description you wrote before. So in our case, Sales Navigator tutorial, and in the brackets, I put exactly the filters I used. So for example, head of sales with a company headcount between 5K to 10K people in New York. So I really recommend you to use the description when you create your list, because in 3 or 6 months, you will not remember what was the filters of your list. If I click on test tutorial, I will find this page where I have all the leads with their name, account, so their company, geography, not outreach activity, and that's added. So here, for example, we have Kate. And if I click on her name, I have some details. So for example, I know that she is director head of sales at ICE. If you want, you can add a note for each lead. And for that, you just have to click on add note. And here we can say like already met her at an event. So of course, it's just an example. I just have to click on done and I have a note saved. So if you do a very targeted outreach, it might be useful. However, if you contact like hundreds or thousands of people every day or every month, just don't waste time with that. So now if I click on the 3 dots, I have some options like message, edit associated account, connect, add to another list, or remove from list. I just want to show you one thing because the other one are not that useful. It's message. So if you send a message here, it's an InMail. So as you can see here, we have use 1 of 150 credits. So if you send a message to Ray in Sales Navigator on this page, he will get an InMail. You will send an InMail. And I really don't recommend you to use that because first, people most of the time don't like their InMails because it seems like an ad and people don't like that. And the second point is that InMails are very expensive. So don't waste time with that. It's not useful. There are 2 more important things on this page. First is that you can see people that change their jobs in the past 90 days. So if I click here, I have these people, and I say it's nice to identify them because people want to prove that they are capable of doing their job, and most of the time they will try new tools, new services, new agencies, and so on. So that's why it's good to reach out to these people. And then the second thing I want to show you is this. So it's the leads that posted on LinkedIn in the past 30 days. So here it's very nice because you can see people that are active on LinkedIn. So if you reach out to these people, you know that they spend some time on LinkedIn, and you will for sure get a higher response rate if you reach out to these people. So now that you know how to save your search and that you know how to build a leads list, I want to show you something that might be useful if you want to do a very targeted outreach. And this feature is alerts. On the Sales Navigator homepage, you have all the notification from people that are, for example, in your lead list. So let's have a look at the test lead list. And here, as you can see, we have all the news from people that are in my test leads list. So I can filter the alerts, for example, career changes or lead shares. So lead shares means that they post on LinkedIn, but let's say career changes. And here we are notified that Benjamin Truman started a new position, and it's always a good trigger if you are doing a very targeted outreach. Honestly, I don't use this feature, but I know some people that are doing a very targeted outreach and they use it to like a post or send a message to someone who is new at a position to try to do some social selling. Now let's go back to the lead filters and we will cover every single filter. So as you can see, you have some sections: company, role, personal, buyer instance, best path in, and recent updates. And you have also workflow. So let's start with the first filter, current company. And here it's useful if you want to target very specific companies. So for example, let's say Pipedrive. And here I will have all the people that work for Pipedrive. So of course I can add some companies like, I don't know, Skype, let's say Bolt. And now on the right side, you have all the results of people that work either for Pipedrive or Skype or Bolt. And as you can see here, we have more than 2,000 results. So this is not the most useful filter, except if you do a very targeted outreach. Now let's move on to the next filter, company headcount. So here you can select the size of the company. And I say it's very important because the strategy you will use to reach out to the leads are very different if you contact, I don't know, a startup or a big company. So that's why it's very important to use this filter. So let's say that I want people that work for a company, headcount between, I don't know, 51 to 200 people. All right, perfect. Past company is not very useful. Sales Navigator says like find past customers. Yeah, but you already have them in your CRM. And past colleagues. Yeah, if you want to reach out to people that you already know in your previous career or so on, but not really useful. Company type, not very useful because most of the time you will reach out to people that are in a privately held company. Next filter is company headquarters location. And this one is very important because you can select where the company is based. So for example, you can say that you want to target a US company based. So for example, United States here. This filter is different to the geography filter because here we focus on where the company is based, and here this filter applies on the personal level. So for example, here we can focus on people that are based in the US, but they might not be working for a US based company. So I recommend you to work this filter compared to the geography one, because now we live in a world where we have a lot of remote employees. For example, someone can live in France, for example, but works for a company based in the US. Now let's move to the function. So this one is not really useful because LinkedIn tried to guess on which field you are working. So for example, let's say sales. And here, as you can see, we have licensed agents. Not sure if it's related to sales. Mutual fund representative. Not sure. Okay, this one is good. So founder here is not related to sales. So yeah, honestly, I don't recommend you to use this because LinkedIn try to guess from the job title on which function you are, but most of the time it doesn't work. So you can remove that. All right, so let's move on to the next filter, current job title. And this one is by far the most important one and yet probably the most difficult to master, but I will show you how it works. You will see it's not that hard. So here, let's take an example. I can write head of sales here, and what I can do is to press enter, or I can click on include here from what LinkedIn suggests me, and you will see that we will have two different results. So let's click on include for head of sales. So here we have 210k results, and if I do a quick search on the keyword head of sales, let's see what we have. Head of sales, and I have to scroll a little bit. Head of sales, we have 20 results minus 2 for these two. So we have 18 results that match exactly head of sales. So 18 compared to the 25 we have here. So here we have advisory board member, head of partner management and negotiation. So as you can see, LinkedIn try to guess the job of the people, but sometimes they are doing some mistakes. Like for example, Harvey is advisory board member, or Monica is head of partner management and negotiation, which is basically not head of sales. Now let's remove that and we will write head of sales. But instead of clicking on include, I will just press enter and we will check the results. Here we have more results. So we have 260k results and we have less head of sales. So we have 15 results because 17 is one here, one here. And as you can see, we have people that are like chief operating officer and head of go-to-market, sales, marketing, communication, community. So this person is not directly a head of sales. She is doing multiple times. Here we have Josh, who is sales manager, but he is not a head of sales. So that's why this filter current job title is a bit annoying, because you try to get, I don't know, head of sales, and at the end you get a sales manager, which is not your target, because probably this lead is maybe not a decision maker. To improve the results of the current job title filter, you have to master what we call Boolean search, and I will show you how it works. Don't worry, it's not that hard. You have a number of 5 operators you can use when you do a Boolean search. You have the quotes, you have the brackets, you have or, and not. And I will show you for each how it works. So when I use quotes, I say that I want exactly this. For example, if I say that I want head of sales, within the quotes, I say that I want exactly this, and not sales manager or CEO and head of sales or whatever. It's head of sales. And let's have a look when we use quotes. So if I go back to Sales Navigator and I paste my search head of sales with quotes, then as you can see, I have head of sales, global head of sales, head of sales, head of sales, sales manager, and so this example is interesting because I say that I want specifically head of sales, but I have a sales manager, which is different. But that's part of Sales Navigator. You have to deal with that. You can't do the perfect search, but at the end of the video, I will show you how you can get exactly people that match your criteria. So don't worry, we will remove this profile. But we have head of sales, head of sales. If I check here the number we have for head of sales, we have just 2 people that don't match our criteria. So we have sales manager and fractional vice president of RevOps, head of RevOps, which actually is not head of sales. But as you can see, it's much better than head of sales without quotes. Now let's move on to the next operator, and I will continue with or. We will see the brackets later. So with or, you can say that you want head of sales head of sales, or you want head of marketing. And of course, you can combine the booleans. So you can say that you want head of sales within the quotes or head of marketing within the quotes. And we use the quotes to improve the results. So I copy paste that here. And let's see what we have. So head of sales or head of marketing. So here we have head of marketing, head of sales, head of marketing, head of marketing, head of marketing, head of sales, head of marketing, chief marketing officer, so head of marketing, head of sales, head of sales, head of marketing. Okay, that's good. So with this search, you have both head of sales or people that are head of marketing. One thing that I almost forgot to mention is that you can add multiple or. So for example, head of sales or head of marketing or chief technology officer or HR director and so on. You can add the number of booleans you want. So for example, let's say CTO. And now let's copy paste that, go back to Sales Navigator, paste. And here you will see that we will have some CTO. Yeah, perfect. The first one is a CTO, head of marketing, head of sales, fractional CTO, and so on. So we have head of sales, head of marketing, or a chief technology officer. So now let's move on to the next operator and we will see and. So with this operator, you will combine some stuff. So for example, we can say that we want founder and CTO. And with this search, I say that I want people that have in their job title founder and CTO. So the difference between and or is that here I will have people that are founder and CTO. They are not founder or CTO, which is different. So let's have a look. If I copy paste, founder and CTO. So here we have co-founder and CTO. Perfect. Founder, CTO, CTO, co-founder, CEO, founder. So here we don't have CTO, kind of a Sales Navigator problem. Co-founder and CTO, founding president and CTO, founder, CTO, founder, CTO, CTO, founder. So we have both CTO and founder. And of course, you can add like founder and CTO and I don't know, owner, for example. Now let's move on to not. Not means that you will exclude some keywords. So for example, you say that you want founder, but not CTO. And let's have a look. We have founder, CEO, co-founder, co-founder, co-founder. We are gonna check if we have CTO here. It will be faster. Yeah, we don't have CTO in our results. So for example, you can say that you want founder, not CTO, not assistant, because sometimes you have people that are founder assistant and you don't want this kind of people because they are not decision maker. So you can say you remove assistant. Now let's move on to the brackets and I will take an example so it will be easier for you to understand. So let's say that we want people that are VP marketing, head of marketing, VP sales, and head of sales. So we want this. And one of the best way to use booleans is to combine them in a certain way. And I will show you the easiest way to do it. The first filter you want to apply is the position of your target. So for example, you want people here that are VP or head. Now, the second thing you have to mention is their function. So if they are working on the marketing, on sales, if they are working on the HR department and so on. So the function here, and in our case, marketing and sales. And the last part is to exclude some people. And that's where we will use the operator not. So with the bracket, you can say that you want position 1 or position 2. So let's say VP or head, and you want people that work in function 1 or function 2, not, and that's where we will exclude some people. So exclude 1 or exclude 2. And I forgot 1 here. And then I close the bracket. So of course you can use more position, more function, but we will keep it as simple as possible for this example. Now, if I come back to our example, we want VP marketing, head of marketing, VP sales, or head of sales. So I open the brackets. Position 1 is VP or head. I close the brackets, then I focus on the function and I use and. I want marketing or sales. I close the bracket and now I use the operator not to exclude some people. So for example, I know that some people working on the marketing side, they are like fractional. And let's say that we don't want to focus on these people. So I remove fractional, and let's say that we don't want people that work on the brand side, so I remove brand. So now I just have to add the quotes to make the search more accurate. I've just finished to put the quotes. Now let's copy that, go back to Sales Navigator and paste the search. So here we have head of sales, perfect, because we want someone who is at the head position, and sales is the function. Head of marketing, VP marketing, perfect. We have VP here. Here it's interesting because he is head of gross marketing, and we can say that we want to remove gross. So for example, all we have to do is to add gross at the exclude function. So or, and we say gross. And then we come back to Sales Navigator, remove that and paste it here. And let's see what we have. So we have head of sales, head of marketing, VP marketing, head of go-to-market. So here, same like Sales Navigator, but don't worry, I will show you how to remove that later. Head of consumer marketing. So same, we can remove that. VP marketing, director of sales, head of product marketing. So if we are not interested in the product side or partnership, of course, you can add product or partnerships at the exclude parts of our search. Head of marketing and so on. Okay, that's good. So basically here, what LinkedIn does is to check in the job title of every person if they have VP or head and marketing and so on. And here we can see that the current role of Richie is VP of sales. Quick tips when you use your Boolean search. I advise you to build them in a Google Doc or Notion, because if you try to write it here, it's hard to know where you are. For example, it's hard to see what happened. So take your time to build your job filter Boolean search, because it's probably the most important filter. But just follow this and you will see that it will be easier for you to target your ideal customer. So the next filter is seniority level. Honestly, I don't recommend you to use this filter, because LinkedIn tries to guess the seniority of the people based on their job title. So I want to show you live that it doesn't work. So let's say we want people that are entry level, and because I want to show you that it doesn't work, I will try to get people with the current job title CEO. And we have 230k results from people that are CEO and considered by LinkedIn as an entry level. So as you can see, it doesn't work. And why LinkedIn makes this mistake is because LinkedIn tries to guess the seniority level of someone based on their current experience. And most people have multiple experience. So for example, here Xavier has the job title founder CEO, but he's as well an instantly partner and Clay enterprise partner. So here LinkedIn considers that he's probably at an entry level at being an instantly partner or Clay enterprise partner. And it's the case for many people. So for example, Karina, here she's a founding member, CEO, co-founder, 4objects. She's probably an entry level at this. And that's why I really advise you to not use the seniority level filter filter. Past job title, I've never seen someone who use this filter. Years in current company, not that useful to be honest. Might be useful if you want to target people in a startup. So for example, if you want to target founder at a startup, you don't want to target people with less than 1 year of experience because they won't probably have money to pay for your service. Might be useful in some cases. Years in current position, same, not very useful. Now let's move on to the personal section and we will start with the geography filter. So this filter applies on the personal level, meaning that we will check where the lead is based and not where the company is based. Because if we want to check where the company is based, we have to use the company headquarters location. So here, geography is for the location on personalized side. So for this filter, you can use, for example, the country, for example, United States. And here we will have people that lived in the US. Now you can do more precise targeting. So for example, you can say that you want people living in Los Angeles, like this. And we will have people that live in Los Angeles. Quick tips when you want to focus on a city, don't forget to add the metropolitan area. So here, if I add Los Angeles metropolitan area, you will see that we go from 3 million to 11 million people. So it's a huge difference and yeah, don't forget to do that. The next filter is industry, and this one is a bit complicated because we focused on the industry of the lead. And the problem is that most people say that they work, for example, as a salesperson, but their company is not a sales-based company. So they don't sell sales services. So I'm going to show you an example with my profile. So as you can see, I put banking as an industry and I've never been in the banking space because what I've done on my profile, I said that my industry is banking, which is actually not the reality. With the industry filter, as I told you, you will filter people based on their own industry, but you can write whatever you want. It's not accurate. For example, if you are an accountant, you will choose accounting as an industry for your profile, but you may be working in a software services company. So your industry in your profile is accounting, but the company you are working for is a software company. So if you want to target specific industries, you have to go on account here. And then here you can focus on the industry of the company. So for now, I prefer to show you the next filters and then I will show you later in the video how to use the account page. So now first name, last name, not really useful. Profile language, not that useful to be honest. You may have some use cases where it is. For example, you want to reach out to people that speak only, I don't know, French, for example, and I will say that profile language is French. So of course the problem with that is many people write their profile in English and I will not get them because I choose to get only French as a profile language. So not really useful. Years of experience, this one is not that useful. It's not always accurate, but might be useful if you want to focus with people that have some experiences. For example, let's say that you don't want to work with people who don't have more than 1 year of experience because they are probably not a decision maker, so you can choose like, I don't know, from 3 to more than 10 years of experience. Now the filter groups is not useful at all. School might be useful if you want to target some alumni, but honestly I've never seen someone using this filter. And now let's move to the buyer intent section. So here you have people that follow your company, so you can of course check who they are and reach out to them because they already know that you exist and they may have an interest at what you're doing. Viewed your profile recently, so this one is very useful because these people know your name, surname, they probably know what you're doing and they might be interested by your products. So this one is a very useful filter. So now connection, and this one is very important because you can focus on people that are already in your first degree network on LinkedIn, meaning that these people probably know who you are, your first name, last name, and so on. So it's always good when you are doing some outreach to reach out to these people because you will have a much higher response rate. And with these people, you can easily book sales calls and make money quickly compared to people that don't know you, meaning people that are in the second or third degree network. So these people don't know you, meaning that it will take more times for you to convert them. But of course, the advantage is that you have much more people. So I recommend you to use the connection filters these two ways. First, only with your first degree connections, and then make a new list with the second and third degree connections. And group members, it's not useful at all. Now, connections off is very interesting because you can check in the network of someone the leads that are interesting for you. So for example, let's say that I want to check the network of Willen. So Willen is in my first degree network and I can check her network. So if I click on Willen, then I see every single person in her network. So we have 4.5k results. And here, of course, I can do the search like I want CEO in the US that are in the network of Willen. There are two tricks you have to know for this filter. First, you have to make sure that you have access to the network of Willen. So here you can go on the profile of Willen, and if you can click on this link, it means that you have access to her network. If you don't have an access to this link, it means that the user don't want you to access the network. And if you're wondering how to remove the access of your network, you go on LinkedIn, settings and privacy, and from what I remember, it's visibility. Who can see your connections here, and then you have to turn that off. So if you turn this button off, people won't be able to check your network. You will be only able to see the mutual connections you have with this person. The second thing you have to know about this filter is that you can select only one people at once, meaning that if I want the network of someone, unfortunately, I can't add more people. So let's say this, and it replaces the people. So the problem with that is you can't easily export every single leads of your competitors, and I will show you later in the video how to do that because it's a bit annoying when you just want an export from all the leads from all your competitors. Now let's move on to the next filter, past colleague. Honestly, not useful at all. So here past colleague, 61k results. I mean, not that accurate. And then shared experience, same, 85k results, not that useful. Next filter is change jobs, and this one is very useful because you have a list of people that are new in their job. It means that in the last 90 days, they've changed their jobs. And when you are new at a position, you want to prove to your hierarchy that you are good at what you're doing. And this period of time, when you start a new position, you want to try new process, new tools, and you probably want to use new agencies. And this period of time is really good to focus on because these people will probably check solutions for their problems, and if you can reach out to them, it's always good. Next filter is posted on LinkedIn. You will have people that have posted on LinkedIn at least once during the last 90 days. So it means that these people are active on LinkedIn, and if I do like an extrapolation, they are active online. So they are probably more into their emails and so on. So if you can, I really recommend you to use this filter. Next filter is mentioned in news, and yeah, it's pretty useless to be honest. I have some information, for example, like Florian was in the news in the past 30 days. It's an article, but honestly, don't waste your time with that. Now let's move to these filters. So here we have persona. It's a new feature from LinkedIn. So if I click here, I can select my persona. And if you want to create your own persona, you have to click on this button here, personas, and you can create a new persona. I will show you how it works, but honestly, I recommend you to not use it because all the filters that you can find here are basically the same compared to the filters that we have here. So I will show you how it works, but not really useful. So the name of my persona is test persona tutorial. And here I have the function filter. And as I told you before, the function filter is very bad because LinkedIn try to guess the function of someone and most of the time it doesn't work. But let's say that I want accounting people. Next filter is seniority level. And as I told you, it doesn't work that well. And current job title, yeah, let's say CEO. And geography, let's say United States. Then I click on save and I have my persona, test persona tutorial. Of course, I can edit my persona. And now if I click on the filter, I have my new persona. And I click on test persona tutorial. And basically what it does, it just adds the filters at the right place. So I really don't understand why LinkedIn did that. And the worst part is that they are using the worst filters on Sales Navigator. So don't use persona, it's just a waste of time. Next filter, account lists. I will show you that in a few minutes. Lead list are all the people that we have in the lead section. So all the leads that are here, we can retrieve them with this filter. So I can just say I want people from test tutorial, and you will see that we have our previous search from the test tutorial lead lists. People in CRM is when you have a higher version of Sales Navigator. People you interacted with, so you have only two choices. First, it's people where you viewed their profile. So for example, I viewed the profile of this person. And the next one is message. And here I have 0 results because it only includes the message from LinkedIn Sales Navigator and not LinkedIn. So it's a bit useless. And finally, saved leads and accounts, not useful. So now let's move on to the account page and you will see how to deal with industry and account lists. So on this page, it works the same way as the lead page. So you have all the filters you need to target specific companies. So here we focus on companies and not people. So let's take an example. I want companies between 11 to 50 employees and the headquarters location I want in the United States. You can see on the right side of the screen, I have all the companies that match your criteria. Of course, I always say match with quotes because sometimes Sales Navigator make some mistakes, but at the end of the video, I will show you how to deal with that. It works exactly the same way as the lead page. So here I can save my search. So for example, my search here is company headcount between 11 to 50 people and the headquarters location is United States. So to save my search, I only have to click on this button. Then I click on manage saved searches. And then you have your save searches here that you can rename, of course. So let's say test tutorial account and I save it. Perfect. Now that I save my search, I want to save the companies in a list. So I can do it one by one like that. Or what I can do is to click on this button and I will select the 25 companies here. And unfortunately, I have to do that for every single page. So let's say that I want to save this company into a list. So I have to click on save to list and I will create a new list. So let's say test tutorial account list, 11 to 50 employees in the US. And then of course I can add a description, create and save. And now that I have my list, I can save my companies into a list. And yeah, unfortunately I have to do that for every single search. So select all, save to list, test tutorial account list. For this tutorial, I will add 100 companies. So select all, save to list, and then test tutorial account list. Perfect. If you want to check your accounts list, all you have to do is to click on this button here, account, and you will have access to your account list. So when you are on this page, you can access to your list by clicking here, or you can have the details of your account list by clicking here. So here you can see the account list we've just created. And if I click on this link, I have access to all the companies I've added in my list. So if I click on this page, I have new filters. We have company attributes, spotlights, and workflow. So let's start with annual revenue. So you can say that you want companies that are doing between, I don't know, 5 to 20 million a year, and you will have all the companies here. Honestly, it's not the most accurate data. It doesn't work perfectly, but it gives you a nice range about the company revenue. Company headcount, this one is very useful, so you can narrow down your search by the size of the company. For example, you can say that you want only startups, or if you want to target bigger companies, you can say that you want at least companies with at least 200 people. And for that, you have to do that. Next filter is company headcount growth, and this one is useful if you want to target that increase the number of people in the company. So for example, you can say that you want companies with a minimum of 10%. So here, if I take an example, let's say Apple, then I will see that they have 10% headcount growth during the last year. Headquarters location, very simple. You can select where the company is based. For example, let's say United States. Now this filter industry in the account page is very useful because it's the industry of the company and not the industry of a person. And this is exactly where you will filter the companies based on their industry. So for example, let's say that I'm an agency and I sell software to companies in the banking space. So I will select industry banking and I will include that. And here, as you can see, we have companies that are in the banking industry. Next filter is number of followers. Honestly, not really useful. Department headcount is useful, especially if you want to do something very specific, and I will take you an example. So let's say that I want to target companies with a minimum of 5 sales. So for example, if I'm selling a sales software, I want to reach out to companies that have at least 5 sales in their company. So you can do that for sales, but you can do that for accounting, administrative, business development, and so on. So you have a lot of choice and it might be very useful depending of your business. Department headcount growth. So this filter is related to the previous one. So here we want to check if they increase the number, for example, of sales. So for example, I want to target companies that increase the number of sales by 20%. If you see that a company hire a lot of sales, it means they invest money in sales and they probably want to buy some tools or services or consulting to improve their sales. Fortune, not really useful. Technology used is not that useful, to be honest. It will be a very nice filter if it works. So let's take an example with a company called Klaviyo. Klaviyo was originally made for e-commerce, and for example, the New York Times, I'm not sure that they are an e-commerce. I'm not sure that 330k companies use Klaviyo, so I prefer to not rely on this filter. Now let's move on to the spotlight section. So you have job opportunities, and this one is very useful if you want to target people that are hiring. So it means that they have money to invest, and of course it's always good to target companies that have money. Now recent activities, you have only 2 choices. First, senior leadership changes in the last 3 months and funding events in the past 12 months. So these filters might be useful in some cases. Of course, it depends on your business. Connection is not useful because it only gives you the companies where you have at least 1 people in your network. So not really useful. On the workflow section, you have saved accounts. So basically it's just all the saved accounts you have. So you have the list of every companies that you get in your list. And finally, the last one is account lists. And here you can select your list. So for example, test tutorial account list. And then I get the 100 companies I selected before. I have a good practice for you for account lists. So basically, if you are doing some prospecting, you don't want to reach out to your competitors or people that are already your clients. So what you can do for that is to create a list of companies, and we will exclude these companies. So let's take a quick example and say that Evernote is my competitor and that Engine is already a client. So I don't want to reach out to people in these companies. So what I will do is to create a list. So I click on Save to List, create new list, and I create a blacklist list and description, competitors or clients. And then I create the account list. Now that you have a good idea of how account works, let's go back to the lead page. Then I scroll a little bit and then I want to focus on the account list filter. So if I click on plus, I have all the account list I've created and I want to select this one. So the one we previously made. So test tutorial account list. So here I have all the people that work in these companies. So I no longer have a list of companies. I have the list of the people that work in these companies. And now you understand why this filter account list combine the account filter with the lead filter. So for example, I can say that from this account list, test tutorial account list, I want people that are based in the United States. Or I can say that I want people that are only CEO. And as you can see, I have CEO in people based in the US that are in my account list. Just before I told you that you can add a blacklist filter based on the companies, and we will use that to make sure that we don't reach out to people that are our competitors or that are already clients. So let's say that blacklist and I exclude this list of companies. All right, so now let's take a concrete example. So now that you understand the lead page and account page, it's time to mix both of them to do a real search. So let's say that we sell, I don't know, services to companies that are working in the cybersecurity. So I will go on account and as an industry, I will search for like data security software provider. Products. Perfect. So I click on include and let's say that company account. So let's say that we work with small and medium company. So up to 200 people. So of course it's just an example. Headquarters location, let's say United States and UK. Perfect. And now let's say that we sell a service that is made for the sales department. So let's say that we're doing sales consulting for cybersecurity companies. So we want a department headcount of sales with a minimum of 2 people. And so here we have 94 results. So we have 94 companies. So now what I want to do is to save this company into a list. So I select that. Then I click on Save to List, create a new list, and let's write consulting for cyber companies. So I click here, then Save to List, and I have to do that for every page. Save to List. Here. Okay, now that I'm done with that, what I can do is to save the search so that I'm notified where Sales Navigator identify a new company that match my filters here. So let's click here. And now what I can do is to remove all the filters and then we will go back to the lead page. And why do I remove every filter? Because when you switch from lead to account, sometimes you have some bugs. That's why I prefer to remove everything so I know exactly what happened. So now let's go back to lead. And then the first thing I'm gonna do is to click on account list and I'm gonna check if I can find my account list. And here it's perfect, consulting for cyber companies. Include, and here I have every single person that works for the companies that I put in this list. So if I want to promote my sales consulting, I have to reach out to CEO or head of sales. So what we're gonna do is to go on the current job title filter, and don't forget that we don't write CEO like that and then head of sales, because you will not have the best results. So instead, I always recommend you to use the Boolean search, and we're gonna do it right now. So we want to reach out to CEO or head of sales, and we don't want to reach out to assistant. So for this example, I want to keep things really simple, and then all I have to do is to copy paste the results. Paste it in my current job title filter, enter, and here I can see that I have 91 results. So now that you are happy with your search, you have to export the leads. So before I show you how to export the results and get the verified emails of every single lead, I want to show you something that is really important. So I'm gonna take an example with another search. So I click on lead filter, and let's say that I want CEO in the US. And you see that we have more than 1 million results. The thing is that on Sales Navigator, you can't export more than 2,500 results. So each page here contains 25 results, and you are limited here by 100 page. So if your search have more than 2.5k results, you have to split your search into several chunks of searches. And I'm gonna take an example. So let's say that I want to reach out to every single head of sales in the US. So here, United States. And here I have 12k results. When you are in this case, you can't export 12k results at once. So what I recommend you to do is to copy paste your LinkedIn URL, paste it, for example, here. So here is your search for head of sales US, and with 12k results. For this example, the filter I'm gonna use to chunk my search is years in current company. So if I click here, less than 1 year, I have, perfect 1.5k results. And quick tips here, you can see the rest of every single choices. So 1 to 2 years, we have 2.5k, 3 to 5, 2k, 6 to 10, 1.5k, and more than 10 years, 1k. With this only one filter, I can easily chunk my search into searches with less than 2.5k results. So now what I have to do is to copy paste this LinkedIn URL, and then I'm gonna specify every single URL. And why I'm doing that? Because you can't export more than 2.5k results per day. So it's a limitation of Sales Navigator. You have to export at least 2.5k results per day. So in this case, you will go for this one on Monday, and then 1 to 2 years. So I remove that. 1 to 2 years, 2.5k results, so perfect. Here I paste 3 to 5 years, 2k results, perfect. So I copy the URL, and then I go back to my Google Doc. All right, perfect. 6 to 10 years, same thing here, perfect. 10 plus years. And here, same process. So as you can see here, I've made several chunks of searches, and with that, I can get all the leads that come from my original search, which is head of sales in the US. So because LinkedIn doesn't allow you to export more than 2.5k results a day, you can say that you will export that on Monday, this one Tuesday, this one Wednesday, and then Friday. So if you have to do that, I recommend you to do that in the morning, so it's easy for you to then work with your data during your day. Just before we dive into how to export the leads from Sales Navigator into a clean leads file with verified email, I have one more thing I want to show you. So it's not related to B2B, it's more about B2C, but the way of thinking is really interesting because you will see that with the filters of Sales Navigator, you can do really impressive targeting. So I have some clients that target wealthy people, so they are in the real estate industry or in the wealth management. And of course, these people want to target wealthy people. And I want to show you on Sales Navigator how you can do that. So let's go back to Sales Navigator. So when we think about how to target wealthy people, we have to go on account. We have to ask ourselves most of the time, who are the people that are wealthy? It's, for example, people that are working in the banking industry, insurance, and so on, with a big company headcount. So let's say, yeah, more than 1,000 people. So industry, let's say banking. And here, let's say that I want people that are based in New York, so I will not care about headquarters location. One more filter we can add is company headcount growth. So let's say we want a company headcount growth with at least 5%. So it means that the company is growing and have money. Then I have to create my lists. So create new lists, let's say banking, create. And then I have to add every single companies. So I will do that only twice. Banking, perfect. And now I have to remove the filters and go back to the lead page. The first thing I do is to go on account list, click here, banking, perfect. And we have all the people that work for the companies we selected before. And let's say that we want only people that are, for example, let's say CEO. But if you want to target wealthy people, you can target head of sales, chief marketing officer, sales manager, and so on. It's really up to you. But for this example, I will just take CEO. And geography, let's say that we are working only in New York. So I will write New York and I will add the metropolitan area here. And as you can see, we have 41 results. So I'm not 100% sure these people are wealthy, but we can easily think that when you are on the top of a company that are working in the banking space, you have some money and you might be interested in a premium house or some investment, whatever you sell. With this quick example, I just want to show you that you can be very creative with what you can do on Sales Navigator. Just play with the filter, try to be smart, and sometimes just try to think out of the box. I know it sounds a bit cliche, but as you can see, it's a very powerful tool to filter the leads properly. Now let's go back to our previous search. So we have 91% and we want to export the data from Sales Navigator into a clean leads file that you can upload in your CRM or upload it in your favorite outreach tool. So on LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you don't have any button to export your results. So you have to use a tool to export your leads into a clean CSV file. To easily export your leads from Sales Navigator into a clean CSV file, you can use the tool Give Me Leads. So you go on givemeleads.io or you can click in the first link in the description. You do the quick onboarding and then you will be on this page. So here you have only one thing to do. So you go back to Sales Navigator, you copy paste your LinkedIn URL. So copy, I paste my search here, and then all I have to do is to click on submit. So once you click on submit, you have to wait a little bit and then you will get a file with all the leads that come from Sales Navigator. So at the end, you have a file like this one where you have all the leads. So for example, we have Rick Gross. So here, let's see, Rick. Yeah, we have Rick Gross. So we retrieve the data from Sales Navigator into this file. So on this file, you have all the data you need for your CRM or for your favorite outreach tool. So you have first name, last name, job title, company name, LinkedIn URL, and you have the verified email of the leads. So of course, for some of them, it's not possible to get their emails, but for most of them, you have the possibility to send them an email. So with Give Me Leads, we do two things. First, we make sure that the first name, last name, and company name is well formatted, meaning that you don't have any emojis or problems with capital letters, with people writing their name in capital letters. And for the company, we make sure that you don't have LLC, LLP, Inc., and so on. So you really have the company name of the lead. The second thing we do is to make sure that every single lead match your filters. So as I told you before in this tutorial, you can use the filters of Sales Navigator, but sometimes you have some people that don't match your criteria, but Sales Navigator say, yes, it matches your criteria. So here with Give Me Leads, we make sure that your criteria are well respected and it's on this column. So those leads are valid. But here, for example, it's invalid job title. So here, Tim, for example, is a sales manager. And remember that we target head of sales or CEO, but here we have sales manager. So here we have COO. Product owner, senior advisor. So you have invalid location, invalid company size, and so on. So I don't know why LinkedIn is doing that, but with Give Me Leads, at least you are sure to target the right people, meaning people that are your ideal customer. So if you want to easily export your leads from Sales Navigator into a clean CSV, you can click in the first link in the description. So honestly, with my co-founder Grégoire, we are working like between 7 to 10 hours a day to make it as simple as possible to build qualified leads lists from Sales Navigator. So now it's the end of this tutorial. I really hope that it will help you to build qualified lead list because I know that it's not that easy, but now you have everything to make the best list possible. So I wish you an happy prospecting. I wish you a nice day and see you. Bye.